I'm really excited about this next section. This is where a lot of the video is going to come together. This is a really exciting part of the video and you're going to learn so much. I'm really excited for you. In this section, what I'm going to teach you is about effects. And you can see right here there's an effects panel, but there's also the effect controls, which are on this specific clip. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, just like that. Okay, so now you can see there is this clip and it goes to this clip. Very nice. That's where we are in this timeline. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at some of the things that we can do. So you go into effect controls, and I could also zoom this in if I wanted to and zoom it back out. You can do it by dragging it, or you can do it by just typing it in. 50. Okay, so now that you know that, you can also change the position. So let's say this was zoomed in and I can see that their faces are cut off. I am going to want to drag this up so that I can see their faces and that it looks good. So that is the position, the scale, and then there's also this rotation. Let's say that these lines weren't straight and I wanted to fix them, and so this was what straight was. Then you would know that you have to rotate it. But a lot of times if this was the full size, you would have to zoom in order to rotate it. So you'd have to scale it and rotate it. So let's go ahead, and right here on the right you can see this resets it back to original. That'll reset that, and this will reset the position. I really liked this as a wide shot, so I'm going to make it a wide shot again. And so now the next thing that I'm going to show you is this opacity. With the opacity of this clip, let's say that I wanted to do something really cool. Really cool. Basically, let's say I dragged in this flower for this example, and let's say that I wanted to make it go on top. What I would have to do is I would select this flower, I would go to my opacity. You see there's all these different things that you can do. So you can make it lighter, you can make it darker, you can see that they're kind of in there. So you can see that, like, what are the different options and which one do you want to do. So for me, I think there is one that I want to do screen. Screen mode makes it so that the black background that it had on it originally, it really it erases that. So basically it's just able to see through. So before, let's say it was normal, this is what it looks like. And let's say that this flower was still a little bit too bright and I wanted it to be like this almost barely thing that you even saw going on. Like, that is the way that you would change it. You would put the opacity up or down or however you want. So because that was just for the example, I'm going to delete that. Let's go back into this section. Okay, so now I've basically taught you some of the basics of the effect controls. So the next thing that I'm going to teach you is about these effects right here. So this effects panel is also really important, and I can even just drag this up here and show this as this whole bigger part now, and you can see that that is now much bigger. So let's say I'm going through and I really like how this clip right here and this one flows together. But let's say I wanted to be creative and I was like, oh my gosh, what if there was a way of zooming into that place right here on the picture, and I wanted it to go closer into this and then like go straight into this clip next. So the thing that you would do is you would go into your effects and you would say zoom, Z-O-O-M. But you see this right here. Let's go ahead and go to the cross zoom. So I'm going to select this effect. I'm going to drag it down onto my timeline. So I can make it a different length depending on what I'm wanting. So let's go ahead and select this cross zoom. And I'm going to go into, I'm going to drag this back down. I'm going to go into these effect controls again. So the effect controls, as you can see, they've changed a little bit. They now have this cross zoom effect within these effect controls. And so let's go ahead and look at this clip. So basically what's going to happen is it's going to zoom in and zoom out from the other clip. Let's say I don't want it like that and I wanted this to just zoom into like here, and then I only wanted it to come up to this section. So let's say I wanted it to go from here to, and I wanted it to be more centered, so I have to like kind of play with it, and I'm like, oh, okay, so if I go from here to, so let's see. You can see that that kind of zoomed it in really quickly over into a full video. So there, that was a little bit smoother. And so all I did was I selected this cross zoom. I played around with these points that it zooms into on my screen. I also played around with what is the end point. I moved it over from being on the other clip to being on my A clip. And I just didn't want it to be so fast, and I also didn't want it to go in reverse and pull them out. I wanted it to just go straight in. So what I did was I just maneuvered these sliders and kind of pulled it out to where I wanted it. And so now when I'm playing it through, it kind of goes in and it pulls your eye, instead of your eye being on the very right side of the screen in this shot, it makes it so that your eye ends up more where it actually is in the next shot. So it kind of is a little tip and trick that I like to do when I'm realizing, oh, I want their eyes to kind of stay in a really similar place. Maybe I'll add in this effect, whatever it is. So you can fine tune that however you want, and it's a really fun little tip. So this is my tip on how to do a zoom transition. Let's go ahead and save it. I always just realized that I forgot to mention this. I always save my work. I do that by selecting Control S is Control Save. And I save my work whenever I've done basically anything. I want to save my work because you never know when something is going to happen and things aren't working properly. Maybe you have too many other tabs open at the same time. What I like to do is I do File, Save, Save As. A lot of times I'll even create a new copy and save it under a different name. So maybe I've been working on it for a while and I'm like, oh, okay, this is Love 1. And now I know that everything from this point is going to be saved and everything from behind is safe, but up to a certain point. So I can always go back to that previous version if I need something. It's kind of like, I remember back in the day I used to create papers, and in Word, let's say you've been typing away and you've been like working on something for a really long time and it closes out and you didn't save it. It's just a really good thing to always be just saving your work. It's just a great tip for life. That way you don't have any mistakes that happen. And then also you can have have your timeline auto-saving. So let's go ahead and add in some more of our clips. So far we have this cute couple, they're dancing, they have this camera that's recording them. Not creepy at all. It's normal. They just set it up and they're dancing. So let's go ahead and say that we wanted to add in some more clips. So I double clicked on my 3. Let's open this up to see it a little bit better. And I want to select an in and out point. So I like how this is moving. I kind of wish that, oh yeah, so you see right here, this kind of goes from being more centered the way that this other clip right here is centered. I like that that's centered and it comes around and it kind of shows a different angle, and then I like that. So let's go ahead and end that right there. So they are continuing dancing. So let's go ahead and play that. Oh, very cute. I love it. So let's save our work again, and then let's say that I wanted to go from them dancing to them on the bed. So something that I would do if I was to just like kind of abruptly change it, one other thing that I want to do for this example is teach you another effect. So let's go ahead and I'm going to do dissolve. And it will be either a cross dissolve, a dip to black. Let's go ahead and dip it to black. So let's say I'm going from here and I kind of wanted it to dissolve into black, into the blackness. So now let's say that the next clip that I want to add in is in a different section, and it's this clip right here. I want to go in and out. Let's say that that's where I wanted it, and I put it into my timeline, and I also want this one to dip from black into the light. I can bring those in, and you can see it's kind of going to transition them from one scene of them in one place to a scene of them in another place doing something different. So that is a tip that I use when I'm kind of going from one place and one action, showing that this is a different action, this is a different place. So now, saving my work again. This is going to be all about saving your work. Just kidding. Now we can go into our next clips, and let's see what these are. So they're listening, or they're looking at their screen. I think in the last one they were listening to music, and they're happy, and they're just like, oh, that's funny. I like that. I like their little smile and laugh. And it feels kind of like they're going on you're taking them on a story. You're going from one section to another section, and maybe that's too long even. Let's go ahead and bring that in. And they are laughing, and that's super cute. Okay, so I'm going to use some more of these videos to teach you more things. So let's go ahead and just make a little video of this. So they are going here, and then they're laughing. And so let's say that in the next clip, what I want to do is use another transition. Let's see what it is. This next clip is, let's say I want to start there, and then he jokingly gets her in the head and starts a pillow fight, and they're laughing. Okay, so that is cute, very fun. Let's go ahead and start that and drag it on to my timeline. So let's say that this clip to this clip of them laughing, well, let's first go to my effects, and I'm going to pull out a little bit. Now we have this clip right here where they are laying on the bed to this other clip. Let's go ahead and put another dissolve. So the last time I dipped it to black, but this is a cross dissolve. I think that that's fine. I'm just gonna say, yeah, I like it. Okay, so now that that cross dissolve is in there, and I've taught you that, there are all these other effects that you just can play around with, see what you like, what you're in the mood for, and then you can also drag this out to make it longer. Let's say I wanted it to be like super long. You could see that I can create this like blurring effect of like, oh my gosh, what just happened? And there's like 2 videos playing at the same time. I kind of like how in this shot she kind of covers the frame so it feels like you switched it. Oh, she got him good. So okay, let's see, you go from this shot and then to this shot. You kind of were like semi transitioned, and then let's go ahead and keep going. Let's just add some more clips onto this timeline. So this is my process of how I go through my edits. I'm just taking you right along with me, and let's see, the next thing that I would do is, oh, that's funny. So let's say right here they are playing and he got her back because she just hit him. So let's say this is kind of funny. Okay, cool. So that's the next shot. So now let's go ahead and add in this next shot. He's laughing super hard and they are so cute laying there. Very cute couple. And let's zoom this one out. I can kind of tell when it's not matching my source that it's not the right size. So I was going to show you now, imagine that we started another sequence. So let's go ahead and go to that original clip that I knew that this one right here is a 4K clip. So go ahead and drag that down and create a new sequence with that. You can tell that if I were to go in and drag this clip into the sequence, it's way too small. So instead of scaling it up, which you could do and it would fix it, type in instant 4K. This might be a plugin, but it's something that I use all the time when I'm wanting my clips to match, because I typically want to make all of my shots bigger and deliver things that are a larger size rather than smaller. So if I'm doing a bit of both, I'll do instant 4K. So I go to this fit to width, and then it somehow interpolates it to be a bigger size in a way that's better than scaling it up. So that's something that I like to use. Okay, you see how there's some movement on this clip and he's like moving a lot? Imagine that this clip was just like way too shaky, and it was almost like the camera that was shaking more than just the guy shaking. You could go into your effects and type in warp stabilizer. You could take this warp stabilizer and drag it on to this video, and then it will show up over in your effect controls as this does right here. And so you can kind of change it depending on what it needs. Maybe it needs a little bit less stabilization, maybe it needs a different kind of stabilization, but sometimes I'll mess around with different things if I'm wanting it to look way smoother and I just need that section of the clip. But right now it's analyzing it right here, and then once it's analyzed I can see, oh, did that make it better or worse? Let's go ahead and see. Okay, so you can see that that really wanted to fix it, but it made it way worse because it wasn't the camera that was shaking, it was him that was shaking, and so it really like made it all warpy and bad. But on different clips, I've used it and it's made such a big difference. And I just wanted to mention it in this video because I'm teaching you all of my favorite tips and tricks for video editing. So it looks like they have a little globe, and in the beginning of it, they must have spun it like that. Okay, she's spinning it. And then, okay, so they're spinning it. So now they're laughing, and then it transitions over to them on the bed, but they're spinning this globe, and it looks like they are gonna do something. So let's go ahead, and I'm gonna finish out this one with another clip that was the same thing of them, but just a different angle. So instead of ending it on this same clip, which I could just keep playing it and it would finish, I'm gonna finish from a different angle. And that's another thing that I like to do, just to make things feel like a little bit higher production. That's cute. I like that. Okay. So go ahead and go from them laughing to them playing this little globe game to them picking it and then kind of getting their reaction. It's cute. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go over to this next one where I'm gonna finish this out. Just kind of see, it's a genuine smile. And then you can go over to the next clip. And so I kind of organized these clips before to kind of bring it into a story. There's a lot of different ways of editing, and so this is just what I'm doing for this video, and I thought that it would also probably make it a lot quicker. That's cute. I'm just gonna do this little clip of her coming out, and then let's go ahead and go to the next clip. And I like that. Looks like we can kind of end it on them watching back maybe what they shot or something, and that's it. End it like that. So let's say on these two clips I go from this one to this one, and I kind of want to do an interesting effect where I'm changing the speed that it goes from one clip into the next clip to try and blend them together. That's called time remapping. And so I'm going to press this R button. It's a shortcut, and I'm going to drag it down to a very short length. I'm going to do that for this clip as well. And sometimes you like it better, sometimes you like it worse. You just have to adjust it and decide what you want to do. Okay, so I don't love it for this transition, but I wanted to teach how to do that. So maybe there is a better place, like going from here maybe, yeah, like right here I can do it. So sometimes basically what I'm doing is I've remapped this to go from behind him to kind of bring you into this next scene, and it almost made it a cooler transition by speeding it up instead of you waiting throughout the whole thing, and then also when it almost like it covered the screen to fill it. So I really like that transition. That's something that I'll use every once in a while when I'm seeing the opportunity. It kind of brought you quicker than if it was before. Now that I have some of these different effects in my timeline, if it's ever red like this, what you can do is you can render it. So let's say your timeline is playing slow and you have a ton of clips in and whatever. Something that I will do is I will click enter Control Z. So I had the render thing on a different screen. If I wanted to, let's say, render this entire area to make it go faster, if I have been using a ton of effects and this was red and all of that, basically what you would do is go up to sequence and then you would click on render effects in work area, and so it will render it through and make it so that you're able to play it back way quicker. And the work area is, I'm pretty sure, within this bar right here. So it'll render whatever section is within it. So now we've finished this section. I've put together I put all my clips onto the timeline and showed you a ton of different effects. And so I was showing you all of my effect controls panel and my effects panel and the ones that I use the most often. And I just showed you how to basically go from having only one clip or two clips to laying out all your clips and making them blend together really well. And so the next video that I'm going to teach you is on audio. And so what is video without audio? Audio is so important, and all of these clips of them are really cute, but it doesn't give you the exact feeling as if it had audio. So I'm going to take you through my process of how I add audio to my Premiere video. And so go ahead and watch that next if you want to learn about audio. And I'm really excited. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
सो आई होप कि आपको वीडियो अच्छी लगी होगी। अगर आपको अच्छी लगी है तो लाइक कीजिए, सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और शेयर कीजिए। और अगर आपको कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछने हों तो आप कमेंट बॉक्स में कमेंट कर सकते हैं और अपने दोस्तों के साथ ज़रूर शेयर कीजिए और सब्सक्राइब कीजिए, जिससे आपको हमारी नई नई वीडियोज़ अपलोड हो तो आपको पता चलता जाए और आप उसके मतलब एक सीक्वेंस वाइज पढ़ते रहें। ठीक है, थैंक यू, अल्लाह हाफिज़।